gonna be good. No. Here we go.
Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Virtual Village Hall.
Good morning.
My name's Dom. I'm from Dom in the Kitchen.
And I'm Rachel from I Planted That.
I am delighted to be here as part of the Royal Voluntary Service Stay Safe, Warm and Well campaign, delivered with our long-term partners, Yakult, which provides people with up-to-date wellbeing advice and support throughout the winter. The campaign supports people with information and advice on how to prepare for winter months, both practically and emotionally, with a focus on the importance of staying socially connected.
Yes, the Virtual Village Hall brings people together through a range of wonderful activities, giving people the chance to try something new, to chat amongst themselves and also to chat with tutors. So during November, the Virtual Village Hall have partnered up with Yakult to bring you a series of safe, warm and well sessions, with the idea being that you bring that outside in. And this is one of those sessions, isn't it, Dom?
It is indeed.
Yes. So I've challenged Dom to create a recipe. I'm going to say it's just for me, if that's okay. But you all can try it as well. You can try it as well. So he's going to create a recipe based on some of the produce that is growing in my allotment at the moment.
And
so I gave him lots of different... Sorry?
What is that?
What is that? What is that? So I gave you lots of different vegetables, didn't I, to choose from? And you chose leek, potatoes and chard.
Yes.
So Dom, what are you going to be cooking for us today?
Well, I am going to be cooking a quiche. Now, I know that sounds a little bit odd because people think of quiche as a very summer thing, but I think that we're celebrating the seasons and all the vegetables that you had on your list that you've got growing in your gorgeous allotment. I just think, you know, let's not mess around with them too much. And I love a quiche. Yeah, I love a quiche.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, right. It works whenever. And actually, I think quite a good thing to have, you know, like we're going to be eating a lot of food over the next few months.
Yeah, good kind of food to fill you up and make you feel warm.
Exactly. So this is just like a nice, this is kind of a little bit lighter, something really nice. And I think it's, you know, it goes a long way as well. Like the ingredients are totally yummy and sort of naturally vegetarian as well. So it's kind of really good options.
Yeah. And they're quite easy to get. Oh, sorry. No, they're quite easy to get hold of. All right, I'm going to be quiet. You go.
Well, the other thing I love about quiche is that you can put in whatever you like. So we've got some alternative suggestions. You can't get hold of certain things. Like, for instance, Rachel grew some chard, some incredible chard in her garden. I couldn't get any anywhere, which is ridiculous. So I've used spinach instead. But, you know, like the great thing about quiche, you can put in whatever you like.
Yeah. So you're saying to me you could also use kale as well, because that's really seasonal at the moment, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and really good for you too.
Really good, packed with just gorgeous things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, shall we get started?
Yeah.
Are you going to make the pastry? How are we going to? Shall we do this? Do you want to make the pastry first?
Yeah,
and then
I think
we'll talk about the veg.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good?
So,
okay.
What I try to do is not just go with a regular pastry. I mean, pastry, a lot of people are afraid to make pastry.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are...
Bit hit and miss.
Yeah, but it's one of the most basic things to make. It's so simple. It's essentially flour and fat and a little bit of water. And you can split those down exactly in half. So if you're using, for instance, 200 grams of flour, use 100 grams of fat.
Yeah,
and
it's a nice easy one to remember.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And also you can play around within that. You can play around. So I've actually got here in my bowl, I should bring it forward a little bit. I have got 150 grams of plain flour and 50 grams of rye flour. Now, rye flour is really, really yummy. It kind of adds a really nutty flavour to the pastry. But if you can't get hold of rye flour, you just use wholemeal flour or just use 200 grams of regular
Does it give it a bit of texture? Does it give the pastry a little bit of texture as well?
Yeah, exactly. It kind of gives it a little bit, it makes it a little bit rougher, which is really nice and a little bit more rustic. And then obviously, so with 200 grams of flour, I've got 100 grams of fat. And here I've got 80 grams of butter, and I'm using salted butter. And then I'm using, for the rest of my fat, I'm using a little bit of local cheese. This is I live up in Lincolnshire, and this is a Lincolnshire poacher cheese. It's really gorgeous stuff.
Is that quite sharp, quite strong cheese?
Yeah, like an alternative would be like, so if you imagine like a cross between a Parmesan and a cheddar. It's really, really lovely. And
well, my mouth's watering already.
So you use the best tools that you have in the kitchen, which are your hands.
And I hear it's very important to keep everything cold. So cold hands, cold butter straight from the fridge. Am I right?
Absolutely. And it snowed last night here, so my hands are really cold.
Just been out putting your hands in the snow before you start.
Exactly. So you're just trying to be as light as possible and just rub it together. Now, my mum, who I think is watching, would she would just bung this in a food processor.
Yeah.
And it would take seconds. But I thought, I would try the old-fashioned way, just to kind of show that, you can do exactly what you want with it.
Yeah, and if you've got the time to do it, we spend a lot more time indoors, don't we, at this time of the year? So it's nice to be doing something, not just kind of sitting watching telly, scrolling on our phones.
Yeah,
so it's nice to be doing something manual and really just a bit of slow cooking, really, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. And it's nice if you have the time, and also like you can double this recipe for the pastry and freeze half of it, so it'll last in the freezer for up to a month. So it's actually kind of really useful thing. And then so that's kind of like sort of rubbed in to resemble breadcrumbs. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit lumpy.
Great.
As
you finish that off, Dom, what I will just do, I'm just going to see if we've had any comments in. So anyone that is watching this morning, again, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do share any recipe tips that you've got in the comments. But also, we'd like to hear from you about what you actually enjoy about winter. We kind of think about this time of the year as being sort of quite depressing. It does get dark, it's colder, the nights are longer. But there are some nice things about winter, so we would love to hear what you do during winter to keep your spirits up. And if you just want to say hi, pop in the comments, please do. Give us a wave, say hi, let us know where you're watching from this morning.
Yeah,
Did it snow last night?
I know.
That seems to be the topic of conversation. What have we got next, Dom?
So this is, I've grated the cheese in, and you're just going to mix that all in together so that it's all combined, and make sure everything's covered in flour. And then you want really cold water. Now I've got one of those fancy fridges that has the cold water stream that comes out of it. But just some iced water will be great. And what I like to do is shape my hand. Actually, I'm going to use my right hand because that is my dominant hand. Shape your hand like a claw.
Okay.
So this is your, if you imagine this is your kind of mixing hand.
Yeah.
And just pour a little bit of water in, and then just go round with your claw-shaped hand and keep going until all the pastry comes together. And you need to add a little bit more water. You'll be able to feel it with your fingers when it starts to come together. I'm making an absolute mess here on the countertop, but just go in, and then you should just start to feel it come together, and then you can start scrunching it together into a pastry. And you should be able to clean the bowl with the pastry.
So if you put too much water in by mistake, can you just add a little bit more flour?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very forgiving recipe. Obviously, I'm making an absolute mess. Try not to do that.
It's not mess, it's creativity. That's what I always say.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd use a big wide bowl so that everyone could see what I was doing. But I'm kind of regretting that now.
So you'd normally use a bowl with kind of higher sides, would you? So that you can keep it all contained.
Yeah, exactly. And you can kind of see there's still some left in the bowl. And you just kind of run the water around the outside of the bowl. And now you can add, I didn't add any pepper to this. I've just got the salted butter. You could add herbs, any herbs of your choice. You could add thyme and rosemary. You could add salt and pepper. Whatever you fancy can go into this. But then basically you have your ball of dough.
That looks perfect.
And then this is going to go into like a little plastic bag that I just reuse exactly for this purpose. And this goes into the fridge for at least half an hour. Just give me a moment, I'm just going to wash my hands.
That's fine. Yeah, as you do that, we have had some comments come in. So I'm just looking over on YouTube. And I'm going to say hello to Julie. Thank you for joining us. Julie loves a quiche. She says delicious at any time of the year. Yeah, I totally agree. I did actually do this recipe this morning and my house smelled absolutely gorgeous. So I've tried this out and it's a really good one to do. I've also got another comment over here. Have a look. Here we go. Watching from snowy Hertfordshire. So that's Julie. So, sorry, Herefordshire. Sorry, getting my shires mixed up.
Oh, you'll get into trouble.
I know I will. I know.
Right.
I won't be asked back.
Now, tell me about vegetables. What have we got today?
So we have got our leeks. So
yeah.
Dom, through the magic of the internet, I'm going to pass you a leek. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Wow!
It was like
magic. I can't believe we actually did that.
I know. It'll be all right on the night. That's what they say. That's actually...
And what else have we got?
We've got a potato.
That one wasn't as good.
No, I think yours is cleaner than mine. Yours is definitely cleaner. See, look, that was dug yesterday. So
gorgeous. Yeah, mine has been cleaned. Yeah. So tell me, you've got some chard. Show me the chard as well.
I have. I've got some gorgeous chard over here. And I'm really surprised that at this time of the year, well, actually, no, I'm not surprised. But I think it's sad that at this time of the year, you can't get it in the shops because it's just abundant on my allotment. It self-seeds all over the place. And I think this time of the year, it really comes into its own. But the reason you can't really get it in shops, and if you can, it's really expensive, is because it doesn't have a very long shelf life. Right. So as soon as you pick it, it pretty much starts to wilt. But if you do have chard, if you buy chard or you grow it, then you can just put it in a pot of water. Nice jug, a vase. I mean, these things are gorgeous, you know. They're
and what does it taste like?
So it is a little bit of an acquired taste. It's like a really strong spinach, but I kind of find it a little bit lemony. I think it's got a hint of salmon, which I know sounds really weird.
No, I know what you mean.
But yeah, it's just good. And you have to cook it. So let me start by showing you just some of the colours. If this doesn't brighten up the colours, it's not quite so good in it. But I mean, just in, you know, the camera doesn't show it up quite so well. But if that doesn't brighten up your day, I don't know.
And you can eat the stalks and the leaves?
You can, yes. So if you are steaming these, then I cut the stalk off and then I take the leaves, chop the leaves up, and then I'll steam the leaves with butter, salt and pepper. And then you can put the stalks in separately, just chop them up like you would kind of celery. They're going to take a little bit longer, so I normally kind of boil them. But these are great just put in the end of curries, soups, stews. And they're just so good for you.
Yeah.
Like dietary fibre, vitamin A, C, copper. Yeah, so much good stuff in them.
And how long have you been growing?
I've had my allotment for 19 years. It's just had its 19th anniversary.
What?
So quite a while.
How big is it?
How big? So it's a full 10 rods. Do you know what a rod is?
I mean, I'm pretending I do, but I don't.
So a rod is a measurement. I can't remember the exact measurement, but this is the best bit. Back in medieval times when they used to plough with oxen, the kind of the main guy, he would steer the oxen, and then his kind of boy would keep the oxen on track, and he would use a rod or a pole, or sometimes called a perch, and the length was from the back of the oxen to the ox's nose. I think that's just so gorgeous.
That is brilliant. That is
so
great.
You could fit 10 ox standing in a row on my allotment.
Right, useful to know if ever we have an ox. available
Yeah.
for making
Or a
them.
pub quiz. There you go.
Or a pub quiz. Right, I am going to start with the quiche. Whilst, if you imagine, we've put that lovely bit of pastry into the fridge, and you've basically got half an hour to make the filling for the quiche. And we're going to start by sautéing the vegetables. I want to keep them as kind of, I suppose, as clean as possible. I'm not going to mess with them too much because you want to taste the flavour. So I'm going to start with the leek. And I realise this might be like teaching chickens to suck eggs. That's not the phrase, is it?
I think it's grannies.
Right, whatever it is. You want to cut the end off, but keep all your trimmings for stock. Always do.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
I've learned something there.
Yes, you must have so much vegetable trimmings that you keep, that you should keep anyway. Just keep them in a pot and simmer them down. Add some stock and you'll get a really intense vegetable stock. Obviously you can use chicken, you can throw chicken bones in there, whatever you like, but keep all your kind of carrot tops, all the bits of veg that you would normally just cut off and chuck away, can all go into a stock. Onion skins, they're all really good to use.
Oh wow. Could I freeze those? So if I haven't got enough or time to make it, can I just put those in a little Tupperware, freeze them when I'm ready?
Pop them up,
brilliant.
freeze them, absolutely. So what you want to do, particularly if you've grown your own leek, a lot of the times in the shops they're pre-washed. But what I like to do is cut it lengthways in half, just like this. And then you open it up and you'll see inside, there's sometimes with homegrown stuff, you'll get like a lot of like gritty bits of earth where the earth is, as it's grown, the earth has been pulled up inside. Yeah,
it's amazing how much, earth does get stuck in those.
And what I do is you can just run these under lukewarm water and it should clear the grit away. I mean, a little bit of dirt isn't going to hurt, but you know. So it's 1 leek per quiche, and I'm just cutting them in half lengthways, and then they get sort of sliced into slices, I suppose, like little half moon slices, just like this. Really simple. It's a bit weird sitting down and cutting, but I'm doing my best. And then I just use a regular pan. I've just got this pan. I'm not actually going to cook them because I can't take you all the way over to my oven. But a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of butter. Leeks love butter.
Yeah.
And they just make them taste wonderful. And if you use a little bit of butter with a little bit of oil, the oil will stop the butter from burning. And you want to get them on a medium heat. And then they go into the pan and they saute for about 5 minutes. And
I did always wonder why you had that butter oil combination. I see it in lots of recipes, and I thought it may be just a taste thing. Yeah,
it is both. It's taste and it stops the butter from burning.
Yeah.
And then once they sort of started to get a little bit soft, pop the lid on, turn the heat down, and they'll soften really, really beautifully in the pan.
Right.
So
and we've just noticed, sorry Dom, I mean kind of unrelated, but we've just noticed your bunny ears. So Lisa on Facebook is saying that she loves your seat with the bunny ears.
Yeah, it's really cute, right?
Did I not notice those before?
We had them made for a project that we did for a client years and years and years ago. We've got a couple of them, yeah. It was like a magic theme, like Alice in Wonderland themed event, and it's gorgeous. Nice. So they go into pan, and the next thing we're going to do, so they probably take about 10 minutes to cook and soften up, and then you want to set those aside, put them into, I've just used the Tupperware container, just set them aside whilst you cook your potatoes, and you can cook the potatoes in the same pan. We don't want to create too much washing up. And again, you want to cut these into small cubes. I might just bring the camera in a little bit closer so you can see. Don't know if that's any better.
That's good.
Yeah, but I'm just going into.
So you're just dicing them up. Have you peeled them? I can't see.
No, I haven't. I haven't peeled them, and do you know what? I am probably the world's laziest chef. And there's nothing wrong with keeping a little bit of peeling on. It's really good for you. It's where all the goodies are. in the
That's
potato.
my kind of cooking. Definitely, yeah, lazy cooking. That's great.
Yeah,
Time saving.
totally. And then those, again, get sautéed in a little bit of olive oil. And what I tend to do with the potatoes is almost identical with the leeks. I don't parboil them because they're so small. Like, we've got such small cubes of potato.
Yeah, they're not going to take long.
Yeah, I sauté them for a little bit without the lid. And then I turn the heat down again and put the lid back on. And it sort of steam cooks them. And then once they're soft, I take the lid back off, turn the heat right up, and I get a little bit of colour on them. So you'll see from the ones that I made earlier in proper Blue Peter fashion, they just kind of have a little bit of colour on them when they're cooked.
Nice,
so,
and I suppose that adds to the flavour as well.
Oh, completely, yes, absolutely gorgeous. And then the third thing to go in is obviously the chard or the spinach. Now with spinach, and I think chard's pretty much the same. What I would do with the chard is with the stalks, they would go in and saute first.
Okay, so also you'd use the whole thing, not just the leaves.
I mean, it's up to you. Like, it's a shame not to use the whole thing, but
that's it. Oh, well, I was thinking I might put the stalks into the stock pot. You see, because I'm imagining this amazing stock pot that I'm going to have constantly on the cooker.
That's lovely. But if you want to use the stalks, they can get chopped up nice and finely. It's probably the same size as the potatoes. Saute them down, and then with the leaves or with spinach, you know, you get those bags of spinach. You literally, you know what spinach does? It reduces down to nothing. And I just put them into the pan, turn the heat off the pan and put the lid on, and just let them sort of sweat in their, you know, kind of in the steam that's naturally created. A little bit of salt and pepper into them as well, just to add a little bit of flavour, and that's lovely. And then in the end, you should end up with, so we've got the sautéed potatoes, which are gorgeous, the spinach, which is wilted right down to nothing, and the chard leaves would do the same, and the gorgeous leeks. So now they are ready to go into the quiche. And as if by magic, how are we doing for time? Are we all right?
Yeah, I think we're good. So we've just had a couple more questions. So Catherine has asked, is chard easy to grow? So I would say yes, Catherine, if you allow it to self-seed. So it's like a biennial. So in the second year, it will set flower and seed. And I let it just happily self-seed all over my allotment. I take up plants if they're in the way, but that seems the best way to go because they don't really like root disturbance. So if you're sowing from a fresh packet of seeds, then I would sow directly. So by that I just mean sow them right in the soil where you want them to grow, because I've found that if I grow them in modules or in a seed tray, then when I move them, they're never as good as those that self-seed. I mean, I think that does tend to work for lots of plants, but I would say especially chard. But it's quite easy to grow. You can also grow it as a microgreen. So by that, I just mean very small plants. They're only going to get about that big. You can do that at this time of the year even. So you just take a pot, fill it with soil, sprinkle quite a few seeds on top, because you don't need to... They're not going to grow to maturity, so they don't need an awful lot of room to grow. Sprinkle the seeds on top, cover lightly with soil, keep them warm in a light place, keep them watered, and they will sprout for you. And also chard, when it's little, it doesn't have quite strong flavour. Do you find that as well, Dom? The little ones that you get like in salad bags, for example. You can just eat those just sprinkled over a salad. Going to be really, really good for you. So yeah, chard, quite easy to grow. Definitely.
Lovely. Any other questions?
Done. Over to you.
Okay. So I have a fluted quiche pan here. It's one of those ones with a loose bottom.
Yeah.
And I have greased it with butter, and then I've rolled out the pastry and put the pastry into it. And I'm going to prick the pastry with a fork all over. This allows the heat to rise through a little bit more. Now, Mary Berry won't like this, but I'm not going to blind bake my quiche.
Yes, I saw this in your recipe. So why aren't you blind baking it?
Well, first of all, if you want to blind bake it, you are with absolute pleasure blind bake it. And blind baking, for anyone that doesn't know, it's basically you take this the lined tin and you put baking beans into the bottom, and you bake it in the oven for about 15 minutes until it hardens up and goes nice and crispy. And that means you've got a really crispy base for your filling. I find it a little bit, again, I said I'm the laziest chef in the world. I find it a little bit of a faff. And actually, not that necessary, particularly if, like me, what I do is my trick is that I put it onto a metal baking tray. So this is just like a super thin metal baking tray, and then metal from the tray and from the quiche tin will heat and cook the pastry from underneath, whilst the pies, whilst the quiche filling's on top. And I mean, I've never had a soggy bottom ever. And again, with my mother probably watching, this is the way that she always did it. And it's just the way that we did it. And I think that people have become obsessed with like not having a soggy bottom. And whilst I understand that that is the traditional and the correct way of doing it, I'm very much in the favour of the fact that if it tastes great, and no one's going to know whether you've... I mean, and if your guests are coming to your house and judging you for a soggy bottom, then maybe they didn't need that invite in the first place. Anyway,
maybe they should leave.
What we're going to do is, what I like to do is put the filling into the bottom of the quiche tray. So this just kind of just goes in like this.
So I was surprised. Oh, sorry. I was surprised that you didn't mix the vegetable with the kind of the. Can we call it a savoury custard? What do we do?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah. I call it savoury custard.
That you didn't mix it together. Okay.
You can if you want. I just quite like this because I like to be able to, spread it out and make sure that it's all sort of evenly. I don't know. It's just the way that I've always done it. You can mix it all together if you want to, but I quite like this. So I'm going to put a layer of leeks on first, and then I've got some gorgeous Stilton that I'm going to crumble in. Now, if you don't, I know Stilton can be one of those cheeses that's a little bit kind of, people aren't sort of love it or hate it. You could use goat cheese, you could use brie, you could use like a milder blue. It's completely up to you. You don't even have to use it if you don't want to. You could just use don't include it if you don't want to. But I love it because you get that kind of wonderful sharp tang that kind of cuts through.
And I suppose you kind of, in different bites of the quiche, you get kind of slightly different. Some might be a little bit saltier than others, and
exactly.
Anything with goat's cheese, and I'm there, to be honest.
That's true.
So I'm going to try.
And then I'm going in with the potatoes.
Great.
And they're just going in on top. And then finally in with the spinach or the chard. And again, just kind of spread it out so that it's sort of all over.
And we seem to have got quite a conversation going with chard. So we've had another question. Well, it's not a question, actually. It's a nice little tip about cooking with chard. So Stephanie on Facebook has said to saute the stalks in butter, add freshly grated nutmeg, wilt the chopped up leaves. I'm liking the nutmeg with chard. That's going to work really well.
That sounds really, really good. Right, I'm just going to put that to one side for a moment.
Thank you, Stepho.
The savoury custard. Which sounds a bit weird calling it savoury custard, but it is like, what else do you call it? It's
exactly. It's dairy and eggs, isn't it?
Exactly. So, 3 eggs. I mean, it really is very, very easy. And these
I'm kind of going ahead, but you're going to be using yogurt, aren't you? And I've never seen yogurt used in a quiche recipe. Is it? Have I kind of just missed something, or is it quite unusual to use yogurt?
No, it is quite unusual. I just like it because it's really funny. It's one of those ingredients. I've always got Greek yogurt in the fridge.
Yeah,
always.
staple.
Plain Greek yogurt. What I don't always have is single cream,
Mm-hmm.
or soured cream, which is kind of a more traditional use. Excuse me one second, I actually forgot to get the...
No, that's fine.
This is so typical.
Good. While you're doing that, Dom, so Diane, she's loving your tip. Diane on Facebook, she says she's loving the tip about avoiding all that faff of blind baking.
Good, I'm glad to have someone on my side.
Well, I'm on your side. As long as it works, Dom, I'm on your side with that.
Then I've got, it's roughly 250 ml of Greek yogurt. That's going to go in.
So that's going to be a lot healthier for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, really nice. It makes a big difference, I think, to the batter, to the, I don't know what we're calling it, savoury custard. I can't believe my brain's not working at all today. I do need to get another ingredient, sorry.
That's fine. So let's see if we've had any other comments in. So Yakult have been in touch. So as you know, that this session is with Virtual Village Hall and also partnered with Yakult. So they've asked about tips about growing fruit and veg. My word, where do I start? So what I was thinking, rather than kind of talk about stuff that you can grow outside, because there's very few things you can sow at this time of the year. One of the things I was going to actually ask you, Dom, do you happen to have any dried peas in your cupboards?
I do.
You do? Okay. Did you know that you can grow those to make pea shoots?
I did not know that at all.
You can. So, so micro veg, pea shoots, very, very fancy. If you just take some of those peas from your packet of dried peas.
Yeah.
And again, like I was saying with chard, with your micro veg, just a pot on a windowsill this time of the year, just fill the soil, sprinkle the peas on top, cover those with soil, keep them moist, and you'll have pea shoots within about 2 to 3 weeks.
Do you know, I love that. I absolutely love peas. It's one of my favourite ingredients. They go into pretty much everything that I cook. I've put them into quiche before. They're great. You can't go wrong with a bag. It's always a bag of frozen peas in the freezer. But that's a lovely tip. I really, really like it.
Yeah, because you think of pea shoots as being like really fancy and trendy, but they're just the little shoots from dried up peas.
I love it.
Yeah,
now,
they're so fresh, aren't they?
Yeah.
They taste like the fresh peas, like straight from the pod.
Yeah, I've added a little bit of single cream yeah, I mean, you could use milk. You just want to loosen up the yogurt slightly, because, you know, sometimes Greek yogurt can be really thick. I'm just going to stand up and get a bit of welly behind there. And you just want to beat it up. I'm going to also add a little bit of salt and pepper into the mix here as well. I've got this amazing salt and pepper mix, which is like, it's from the Cornish Sea Salt Company.
Oh, yeah, with their salt.
Honestly, it's a salt and pepper mix. It's got 4 peppers in it already. And again, being the laziest chef in the world.
You haven't got to stand there grinding and putting your salt in.
Exactly. Right, so that is that.
Okay.
And then it just gets poured over the quiche.
So that looks good already.
I mean, it really is great. So you just want to pour it all over. And then you just sort of shimmy it into all the places.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And, you know, kind of bring some of the veg up. And if you've, like, I always like to leave a few little pieces of veg just extra, just to kind of go on top a little bit, just to sort of, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then finally, I'm just going to...
They'll crisp up a little bit, will they?
Yeah, exactly.
Take a little bit more flavour on.
And then I'm just going to crumble over a little bit more of blue cheese on the top. And then that is going to go into an oven, I would say 170C fan, for about 35 to 45 minutes, depending. I mean, so many ovens, they're all different, aren't they?
Yeah. What's that in gas, Mark? Is that about 5?
Yes.
5, yeah.
And I think so, yeah. And you'll see it anyway. You'll see it will start to slowly rise, and then it will turn golden on top. sometimes I like to turn it halfway through the cooking time, because you know how certain ovens are hotter at the back or hotter at the front. You know your oven better than I do, and you can see it happening. And then take it out of the oven and place it on a wire rack on in the tin, and let it cool by at least half before you remove it, and then let it cool completely on the wire rack. So I'm just going to pop that into the oven and wash my hands, and then we'll come back.
Okay. That's good. So, just checking some of the comments. Please don't forget to give us a comment, say hi, let us know what you're loving about winter, what makes winter fun for you. Oh, this makes winter fun.
Wow. So here is the one that I made earlier. I'll just show you kind of like a close-up of it. You can see how gorgeous it looks. It's really, really yummy. Absolutely love it. And it's all sort of knobbly. And I'm even going to try and see if I can show you the base as well, so you can see how gorgeous and golden that is.
That's
not
crispy.
A soggy bottom in sight. And I believe that you made one too.
I did. Mine doesn't look quite as professional as yours. But yes.
I'm going to cut into mine.
There we go. Look at that.
Oh, yours looks great. Oh, I love it.
It's a bit rough and ready. Okay.
I think the more rustic they look, the better, to be honest.
That's it. Well, it shows it's homemade, doesn't it?
Exactly. There's a little cross section through mine, and you can kind of see all the vegetables, and it's just really lovely.
I think I might have put a bit too much filling. I had maybe I didn't use a medium leek or a medium potato, so I did kind of just keep filling.
I mean, it's great, like just go with what you can, really, and it's fun. Just waiting for you so that we can try a bit together. Oh, yours is really thick, much thicker than mine. Cheers.
Okay, yeah. Mmm.
Oh.
Mmm. That is so good.
That is so delicious.
So I put herbs in my pastry because I think the recipe you sent me through said herbs. I noticed, so the recipe you sent me through, there wasn't any seasoning. So I was like, oh, okay, I won't put any seasoning. And I was thinking, oh, is it going to be kind of have enough flavour? But I think because you've got the cheese in the pastry, you've got the herbs in the pastry, and the way you cooked the veg, and then the blue cheese as well. That's so good. Dom, you are a culinary genius. It's just
Thank you very much.
Good.
I mean, I hope everyone's enjoyed that, and that, this will be up live. The record won't take for a while in the virtual village hall, and we'll take a look at any more questions.
It's on their Facebook and YouTube channels, so you can watch this at any time. You can pause while you're doing all your cooking and chopping and that sort of stuff, and then rewatch it to the end, and definitely give it a go. 100% I'm going to make this more than once.
Lovely. And like I said, you can put any vegetable in that you like. Really love with mushrooms, whatever's in season, courgettes. It's really kind of up to you. You can do all kinds of things with it. Such a versatile dish.
Sounds amazing. Cool.
Lovely.
Well, thank you so much, Dom. I mean, I was so excited to do this session, and because you've kind of created this for produce for my allotment, I've just been like a giddy schoolgirl all week telling all my family and friends.
Yay!
Thank you. Thanks so much. And thank you to the Virtual Village Hall and also to Yakult for sponsoring today's session.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you all soon. Bye.